This video is about play and experimentation. I'm going to play around with some things. I'm going to use some code. This isn't necessarily something that we got to in any of our class demos, but it's just me playing with stuff. So if I make mistakes, you'll see it. If I need to look something up, you'll watch how I do it. If I need to troubleshoot something, you'll also be able to see some of the things that I do to figure out why something is or isn't working, because things don't always work the first time. All right, this time I'm going to play around with lines. So I've opened up a new P5 project. I've got my browser ready in the background here. So we'll start out with our resize canvas. We'll say window width, comma, window height. And we'll also do background 0. We'll use the normal spelling of background there. Okay, background 0. So I hit save. And if I flip over here and hit refresh, I can see that it's working. It's full screen. It's made my background black. So that's good. All right, so then let's look at line. Okay, so I want to draw a line, and the function for that is just the word line. Now, line has 4 parameters. So we'll see P5JS line. I can look it up like this. So if I go to the reference page for line, you'll see that it has 4 parameters and it tells me here what they are. So it's the X and the Y position of the first point, and then the X and the Y position of the second point. Awesome. Good reminder. Okay. So let's say we're going to make the line from like 200, 200, and we'll have it go, let's have it go like down on an angle. So it'll be like 400, 400. So that should be a angled line, and we'll save it. We'll hit refresh. We don't see anything, probably because we have to change the stroke. So just like we did fill, and then that filled in a shape, if we do stroke, then we'll say 255, that should make it white. And there I have my line. So there's 200, 200, there's 400, 400. Cool. All right, well, what if I wanted to have that draw from a particular point, but connect to where the mouse is? So first position is an X position and a Y position. So that's here. So let's leave that there. And then instead of 400, 400, let's say mouse X and mouse Y. So I'll save that, hit refresh. And now you can see it's drawing from 200, 200 to wherever the mouse is. Well, that's kind of cool. All right, what if we wanted to draw it from the center of the screen to where the mouse is? One of the things we could do is we could set a variable for the center X and the center Y and just figure that out one time and then use it over and over again. This is something I do pretty regularly. So we'll say let center X and then let center Y. So we're going to define these up here outside of the functions. This is called like scoping them globally. So we'll say in the setup, center X equals window width divided by 2, because that's the middle. And then we can do center Y equals window height divided by 2. And then down here, instead of an X position and a Y position, we could do center X and center Y. Now you notice when I was doing that, I was copying and pasting so that I didn't have to like type things over and over again. That's something that I do just to make sure that I'm not accidentally introducing any spelling errors. So I try really hard to make sure I'm spelling words correctly when I first type them out. So again, these are variables, center X, center Y. I created those. You see they're not turning color like their code or anything. And I just want them to be reflective of what they're going to be set to equal to. So this will be set center X, window width divided by 2, center Y, window height divided by 2. And so now when I draw this, hit save, hit refresh. Now it's drawing the line from the center of the window to wherever my cursor is. All right, well, that's pretty cool. So let's comment that out so we can save that. Now the next thing that I want to do is actually want it to draw a line that just follows the cursor. So if I have to have 2 X and Y points, what would those be? Those would be the place where the cursor was the last time draw ran, right? Remember, this is looping, 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 looping. So if I want to know where the cursor was the last time it looped and draw that to where the cursor is this time, I can also do 2 variables to hold on to that value so that it knows it the next time draw runs. So let's call those prev x and prev y, as in previous. So what was the previous x position of the mouse? What was the previous y position of the mouse? So I'm going to go down here at the end of draw. I'll say previous x equals mouse x, previous y equals mouse y. So I'm saving these at the end, and then if I draw my line, if I start out at the previous x and the previous y, and then draw it to the current x and the current y, what I should end up getting is a line that draws from wherever the mouse, oops, that's a period, needs to be a comma. It'll draw from wherever the mouse was at the end of the last draw function. When it loops back around, it'll use those variables plus where the cursor is now. So if my cursor is at 100, 100, right, it'll save it. And then the next time it draws, I move my cursor. It'll be 100, 100, and now my cursor's at like 300, 300. It'll draw that line. So let's see if we got that right. So I hit refresh, and there we go. So now I have a line that is drawing from wherever my cursor used to be to wherever my cursor is now. So again, at the end of the draw, I'm saving where it was last time. At the beginning of the draw, I'm saving I'm using where it was last time, and then using where it is currently for the new position. Now you notice it has this extra like thing here. That's because we didn't set previous x and previous y to anything initially. And so by default, it was just nothing. Technically wasn't even equal to 0. Processing is smart enough to catch that it isn't equal to anything, and it just assumes it's equal to 0. So one of the things that we could do here is we could also set previous x equal to, let's just set it equal to center x to start, and then previous y equals center y. So now, if nothing else, at least it'll start from the center and not the corner. Oh, it still started at the corner. Oh, here's what we should do. Instead of this, delete that. Instead of that, what we should actually do is we should check and see if previous x is greater than 0. Then do this. So now the first time this runs, it won't draw the line. If previous x is like not greater than 0, so if previous x isn't equal something, then it won't draw the line, but it will set previous x equal to the mouse x and the mouse y. All right, so hit save. Let's hit refresh, and there. Now we have no initial jump because previous x doesn't equal anything, or it equals 0 by default until it runs the first time. So this whole code runs once. The first time it runs, previous x is nothing, so it does not do this line. Then previous x is set to the current x position, previous y is set to the current y position of the mouse. Then the next time it runs, previous x will be something like, 300, 400 or whatever. So then it will do this line, right? So that's what that if helps us do. Helps us clean up that like initial jump that it did there. But you can see this is jumping around because I'm switching around between the apps, right? Okay, so when we're drawing lines, not only do we have the stroke that we can control the stroke color, but we can also control the stroke weight. And this is done in pixels. So if I want to do like something sort of a little bigger, I could do like a 5 pixel stroke. Right, so now I've got a bigger line. If I want to do something much bigger, you get the idea, right? Like bigger is going to be bigger. And so now I'm drawing these sort of like bigger lines with those lines. And now this is also where I can introduce my sound. So that is what I want to do. So I'm going to go up to the top and say sketch, import library, sound. I get my little notice down here, copied P5 sound to the libraries of the folder sketch. Great. Now, remember that when we add the sound using this library tactic, we have to hit run again. We can't just switch over and hit refresh. We actually have to run it so that it processes the index page and adds this line. All right, so once you've added the sound, make sure you hit the run and not just flip over and refresh. All right, so now that we've got that, we can get back into our addition of the microphone into all of this. So we'll say mic equals new p5 dot audio in mic dot start. We also have to go down and add our function mouse pressed user start audio, right? So you have to click initially. And then we can, in draw, we can say let amp equal mic.get level. And then we can make our stroke like, I don't know. Well, let's try 25 times amp. So now, wait, did I hit save? Hit save, flip back over, refresh, hit allow. And now, as I talk, you can see that it makes the stroke based on the microphone volume. It's pretty thin. Let's make it way bigger to like 150. How about that? Anything there? Yep. So now I've got a drawing tool that's using the stroke weight based on the microphone. Cool. Still pretty small. So let's make it even bigger. See what happens if it's 500. Hit refresh, click. There we go. All right. So now you make all your fun noises. You can hear what it sounds like. Do, 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 do.